Hey guys! Happy Friday. How's it going? Oh, might be getting some feedback here. Happy Friday, guys. Right on time, as always. And by on time, I mean at least a few minutes late, which is pretty much on time for me. Hey, hope you're having a great Friday. I am been doing these live streams at least once a week, once every Friday. Come to you each and every week to help give you the information, the empowerment, the tools, the tips, the tricks, the resources for all things marketing. I specialize in B2B marketing, but my mission is to empower between my podcast, between videos like this, between working with clients, is to empower 100,000 people this year with all my activities I have going on. If you don't know me already, my name's Connor Doobie. I am the leading millennial authority on social selling and B2B content marketing. And I want to help you guys get to the next step on content. So today is all about social media content that sells, right? How to take, whether you're a startup company, whether you're, an old established business, or you're even an individual sales rep in any sort of organization. You may be in real estate, you may be in multi-level marketing, you may sell a SaaS product, you're in some sort of sales role. I want to help empower you to leverage content and use content to grow your sales, grow your pipeline, and break through the noise. That's one of the big things here is breaking through the noise. And marketing is everything. No matter what you do, whether you're trying to start a nonprofit, you have the best nonprofit in the world, you have the best idea in the world, it's no good unless you have marketing, right? And it's really challenging. And content is a massively important piece of marketing. Sales does not just happen from being on the phone and selling people. People today, now more than ever, got a helicopter going by outside. People now more than ever need to see you show up 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 times. Consistency is massively important, and this is where content comes in to drive the context of what you do, how you help people, what's the end result of that, and to keep top of mind. So the first thing about creating content that actually drives sales from social media, and we're talking just specifically social media today. I'm not talking about your website, not talking about your YouTube channel specifically. I'm talking more about what you're going to deploy out on social channels like Facebook, like LinkedIn, like Twitter, like Instagram. I use Facebook to do these live streams because I can't do it on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn, if you go follow me on LinkedIn, I've got 12,000 followers over there. That's where my brand is the biggest. And so I'm gonna take you through this step by step. I've been doing this for you guys every week. By the way, questions, comments, please share this feed. If you find any of this useful, any of this helpful, sharing it out, commenting is the best thing you could do for me. It really helps to get more reach, helps to get in helps to get in front of more people. I mean, that's the biggest thing is reach, right? And I'm trying to get better Facebook reach now that I've kind of gotten my process down on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn works for me. Facebook is the next evolution of where I'm focused on. So if you can help out with that in any way, that would be incredible. Really appreciate it. So let's start with this. How do we build content that actually sells on social media, or actually drives sales on social media? The most important thing is to identify what can you stay consistent with. See, so many people get hung up on, I want to do a podcast, or I want to do a vlog, or I want to do live videos, or I want to write articles, I want to do XYZ. The thing you should be asking yourself before you start, using a social media marketing campaign, and again, whether you have a team and you're going to have your company, you're going to have your team go out and actually deploy this, or you're on your own, you're a solopreneur, you're a solo sales guy, and you got to do this stuff on your own, no matter what or who or where or why, consistency. Because sales is all about consistency. So content that drives sales is no different. It's all about consistency. What can we keep up with? And we're actually gonna, so ask yourself, like, realistically, the thing I can keep up with and the thing I can stay consistent with is likely the thing that I am good at. So are you good on camera? Are you good on voice? I have my microphone over here, so I do a lot of podcasting. Are you good at writing content? And there's really only a couple key pillar mediums of that, which is audio, written, and video, which is visual. So you're gonna start with what we would call a pillar piece of content. Okay? This is gonna be your guiding light as your content marketing. It's gonna be your focal point. The thing that you can do, maybe it's once a month. Maybe once a month you can produce a pillar piece of content, one key piece of content that is long form. So maybe it's a long form article, like I mentioned, maybe it's a longer form podcast, longer form video. You don't have to do this, but I'm trying to give you the steps here that will make it easy for you, to digest. So first off, what can you stay consistent with? And second off, what can I use as a foundational piece of pillar content? Because with this pillar content, hopefully you can see everything top to bottom here on this board. By the way, questions, thoughts, comments, drop them below. Love to hear from you. I love your feedback. Make sure you're sharing this feed out. Super duper helpful. So we're talking about pillar content here. Pillar content is going to allow you to add in other mediums. So let's take here, I'll give you, runaway board. So if I start with, let's say writing is your thing. You're a good writer, and you're able to keep up with that. So I'm going to do one article a month because I can keep consistent with it. And I'm good at it. I'm comfortable. This marker sucks. Do a different marker, Mr. Doobie. Do a different marker. Okay. So from one article, let's say this is a 6 to 8 to 1,200 word article. This is your pillar piece of content. From a single article, I can go in and turn that into consistent micro pieces of content from that single article. So I can take this article and I can read it into a podcast, right? I did a video 2 weeks ago on how to start a podcast. It's pretty easy, pretty inexpensive. Maybe your podcast is your pillar article, right? You have a company podcast that you're putting out once a month, once every couple weeks. It's long form. And you can take that podcast and you can take the same content and the same principles from that podcast, turn that into an article. So you see what I'm getting at with here is you're able to take that key focal piece of content that you know you can stay consistent with, is your pillar piece, and you can repurpose that into other mediums. This is what's going to help you stay consistent with it. Again, consistency drives sales. Consistency is key. So I can take that article, I can read it into a podcast, I can use my cell phone. I almost tried to draw a phone, that wouldn't have been very pretty. Although my grandmother's an artist, you can tell I am not. See if you can see this okay. Okay, so, and record video. So I can take this article, literally pull it up on my screen here, grab my cell phone, which high definition camera, great audio, it works. I can edit it easily on iMovie. Almost every single camera or every single cell phone has a significant camera and decent audio. And I can turn that and I can record that and just like literally talk about the article I wrote. Or like these Friday videos I do, right? These are 20, 30, 40 minute videos. Sometimes I go an hour. I could do this stuff for hours probably. And I'll record a long form piece of video and then write an article on it. Or take that long form piece of video and turn it into a podcast. So again, solopreneur, you can do this on your own. There's more than enough resources to help you do this. Or if you have a team in place, then you can, if you're the subject matter expert, or if there's somebody else on your team who's a subject matter expert, use them as a focal point. And by the way, reference back to last week where I talked about social selling, B2B social selling, and dove into the value of personal branding. So the voice of your content can be a little mixture between your personal branding voice and your company's voice, and you definitely want to deploy through individuals in your company. I'm digressing a little bit, but your podcast or your video or your article can be geared around a certain subject matter expert in your company, in your organization. That's a really good starting place for you. So I can turn that into a video. Or I can even turn these into graphic posts. Memes. Memes are easy to create. You can do them on Fiverr. You can create them on your own. Literally turn this into a meme. I don't think that's how you spell meme. So from a single piece of content, I can create pillar content that I can stay consistent with. I can create 100 additional pieces. And this may sound a little backwards, but this is the first step to content, social media content that drives sales for you, drives sales for your business, is simply first getting started, finding what you can stay consistent with, and finding your pillar medium and keeping consistent with it. Without any of that, it's not going to matter anyways, right? There is no hack. There is no secret sauce. There is nothing that you're going to do one time on social media, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. There's nothing you're going to do one time that's going to be effective for you, that's going to actually impact your business. Anything that's worth doing is worth doing over and over again, and over again, and over and over. Do it again. So this is the first phase of this. I don't even know which damn side of this is the actual eraser. I've kind of been using all ends of this eraser the last couple weeks. Okay. So now the question is, we know what content we're going to be producing on, or we know what we're going to be doing, whether it's podcasts, whether it's vlogging, whether it's written articles, whether it's a series of graphics, whatever your pillar content is. Let's dive in and actually talk about the structure, like what should our content be saying? Now, I will tell you this. I doubt I spelled that right. Too many think they're social media marketing, think that they're content marketing when they take a bunch of salesy content and that's all they just spam out into their news feeds. It's just spam. I'll take an example. On Facebook, there's a lot of you that you sell like wraps, like body wraps or products or health and beauty and wellness products. Maybe you sell $100,000 SaaS product. Either way, salesy content will not drive sales. If all you're doing is spamming buy my shit, it's not going to do anything for you. People are going to tune you out. They're going to think you're only there just to sell to them. You're not there to help them solve their problems. You're not there to help them educate themselves, and you're not there to differentiate yourself from your competitors, because all your competitors are doing this. They're just sharing out a bunch of salesy content to social media. I need to bring this way a little bit, huh? So there's a time and place for this. Unless you're selling a low dollar product, if you really want to drive high dollar sales, there's an there's an artful structure. There's an artful approach to using content to convert people into sales opportunities. And it's not going to work if you just take your links, your order links, and you just spam them into your feed. Or the only thing you're talking about with your content is why the product's so great and why you're so great. That's all about you. People are selfish by nature, and they want to know how you can help them. And also, you're going to sell better and sell more to people's pains and be able to solve people's pains by talking about their pains with content. I think my head's probably cut off here, huh? Okay. So here's the art form behind this. I call this the 80-20 content rule. Yeah, my head does get cut off of there. So it's cool. It's kind of weird actually. I'm recording on my cell phone. I'm watching on my laptop here to make sure that I've got the angles in and I'm in frame. And there's a massive lag on this. So when I'm checking this out, it's just kind of funny to watch myself. It's like watching my past self doing stuff. Quick swig of coffee. Okay. 80-20 rule. 80-20 applies to a lot of things in life, but it most certainly applies to content marketing on social media platforms. So I mentioned sales content. The last thing you want to be doing to grow your business, to grow your sales, is just spamming your newsfeed with salesy content. So use this 80-20 rule. Take your pillar content and everything else you're going to produce from there, and use the 80-20 rule. And this is how this split actually works. 80% of your content should be educational, storytelling, or entertaining. Notice these videos I do are not a sales pitch for what I do, because my audience isn't even so much on Facebook. I just want to help you guys. I want to empower you with this. So I do these because they're educational. I'm able to tell my story. 80% of your content today needs to follow this format. The vast majority of what you're putting out, whether it's podcasts, whether it's written articles, whether it's video, needs to educate people. So instead of talking about yourself, why you're so great, why your product's so great, what problems does it solve, right? What's the end result of those problems? So what pains are people going to experience by not engaging with you or buying your product? If you don't, here's an example. If you don't use this rule when you're using content marketing on social media, you're gonna miss huge sales opportunities. And right now, by not doing it, you're losing massive sales opportunities. That's an example of selling to pain through content. And it has nothing to do with me, right? I'm not even talking about myself. I'm talking about what problems can adopting this mentality in this format, what can that do for you? And people are gonna appreciate you more so, right? Because sales are timing based. Whatever you're selling, high dollar products, selling cars, selling $10 wraps, or you're selling multi-million-dollar B2B enterprise engineering deals, it's all timing. You can't twist somebody's arm into doing business with you. But when timing is right, they're gonna start that information seeking process. Start educating themselves, start looking at you, start looking at competitors. And that's where, by having this content in place, they know who to go to in the first place, because you haven't been here just trying to sell them the whole time. You've been here educating them, problem solving, telling the story behind how you got to solving problems, right? Storytelling, in my opinion, is much more telling story about other people, or telling story about yourself and where you failed and overcame that. And that's how you help people solve their problems now. Whether, coaches do this a lot. Coaches are great at this because they're like, well, I was fat and I was overweight and depressed and I was going to kill myself. And then I came across XYZ steps and that led me to doing XYZ, which gave me end result, which is what you're also looking for as well. Now, here's how to go about that. And then the other piece is entertaining. I do some fun stuff, like my podcast. Some of that stuff is more entertainment than it is educational, or it even is storytelling. And sometimes I'll just put goofy content out on social media just to mix things up. Like I'll put a goofy meme on LinkedIn that's not relevant, it's not problem solving, but it captures attention and it kind of breaks through the noise, and it's a good mix up from everything else. You can't just rely on one or the other, right? Just like you can't only rely on educational storytelling and entertaining content to drive sales. It's got to be everything all mixed together. It's a whole synergy. Now, I'm going to just double check this feed here because I'm massively paranoid about this shit. Okay, good. So this is actually still working. All right. So before I move on to the next, okay, so let me just talk about the 20% here. The 20% of this is where you do the salesy content, where you do the actionable content. Let me give you an example after I take a sip of my coffee real quick. It's still early afternoon, right? Coffee's still fair. So 20% of your content production should be actionable, focused around people taking action from your content, from the 80% of the educational stuff you're putting out there. The value, this is where the value pack is. This is where the conversion happens. So if I host a quarterly event, people pay $150 to attend my event or my mastermind, or a gateway purchase, a gateway product, then this is where that comes into place. And so this is literally where you're asking somebody to take action. If you're constantly always asking people to take action, they're only going to think that you're there to sell them, to spam them, and to get them to buy something from you. So if you're putting this on the forefront, you're doing the work for this, that is priming people for the 20% sales content, and your conversion with this is going to be way up. It's going to be much higher, especially because you're going to be getting lots of engagement from this stuff. And lots of engagement means that social media platforms are going to prioritize your content when you share it. When it goes out, it's going to get ranked higher. More people are going to see it. More people are going to take action than if you're just sharing this. Bah. So easy. It's so straightforward. But a lot of people don't use this approach, and they don't use this method, and they're not consistent with it, and they're too heavy on one end or too heavy on the other end. I see people that are far too heavy on this end, and all they do is this fluffy, woo-woo, fun content, but there's no intention behind it. There's no purpose behind it. It's not doing anything. It's not going to do anything that is going to provide a sales result. So that's the 80-20 rule. What we've covered so far, if you're just jumping into this, or you're skipping, or you're watching this after the fact, by the way, really appreciate you. Please don't forget to comment, leave little like just a little passive like would be great on this. Little heart. I'm making an attempt to work Facebook into getting more reach. I've been, crushing it on LinkedIn the last few years. I really know the platform in and out, and I'm testing out this whole Facebook thing right now. So let me know how I'm doing. All right. So let's talk about CTAs. Call to action. I know a lot of people that do everything else right. So you're consistent with your content. You're using the 80-20 content rule. You're educating. You have your actionable stuff out there. But sometimes your CTAs, the structuring of your content, makes or break the conversion that's going to happen. So that is what you need to figure out is, what do you want people to do? What action do you want people to take? Is it a consultation with you? Do you want them to make a micro purchase your ebook, purchase your product as a gateway to your main product sale, right? You sell whatever, you sell a $100,000 vehicle, so you have these models of the vehicle. You want to sell those as a gateway, so people have that kind of like what's a word I'm looking for? Like a token, like something that's of meaning to them, that leads them in to the larger purchase. So what can you use as a gateway sale? And I'm kind of getting more into the high dollar sales here. So if you're listening to this and you're watching this, this still can apply to a $10 product that you're trying to sell on social media. But if you want high dollar sales, right? So if you want to take that $10 product and you want to sell 1,000 widgets of it in some sort of large transaction, pay attention to this. And it happens through the gateway sale. So what action do you want people to take? Is it get on your calendar, make a micro purchase, right? Gateway money. If people buy from you once, chances are they're gonna buy from you again. So what is that gateway sale? And that needs to be structured in with your actionable content. So even when you're doing educational content, right? This may sound a little counterintuitive, so stick with me on this. When you're doing the 80-20 rule and you're putting your podcast out, for example, in the text where you're actually writing out or typing out the context of that piece of content, say that 10 times fast, what are you going to do there? Because some people just upload content and then that's it. And I do it too sometimes. I'm always testing stuff. So when you see me doing what I'm doing, I'm kind of a guinea pig. I'm testing stuff sometimes that I know doesn't work for other people, and I'm trying to test it out. But I'm digressing here again. So what action do you want them to take? Is it website? Is it subscribe to your YouTube channel? Is it subscribe to your podcast? Is it take a micro purchase? And make sure you're using those in the headlines, in the summary section of that text, so people can take action, because people are lazy. People are lazy by nature. And they're not always going to take action unless you hold their hand through it. Some people need your help to understand how to buy. So you need to guide them on how to buy. How do they purchase from you? How do they take that micro step? How do they, I just put my calendar on here, and so how do I get people to fill out a time on my calendar? Well, I need to tell them how to do it. Hey, follow this link. You're going to select a time and date to meet. You're going to put in the context of what you want to talk about. Make sure you include your social media profile link in there so I can review that before our call. And then make sure you save the date to your calendar. Again, here's the link. I didn't do that here because I had a quick moment. I just put my link in there. But that's an example of what you. This looks like crazy. It's meant to be lazy. People are lazy by nature, so you need to hold their hand through this. Now, put this aside, for example, and let's kind of close the gap on everything. Like, how do we tie this all together? So, content, start with what you can stay consistent with. Consistency is everything. Consistency is so important in sales. No matter what dynamic of sales you're using, it's so important. Follow-ups. This provides you to almost do your sales follow-ups without having to even directly follow up with your prospect. I just closed a deal yesterday, a high dollar deal. This client I've been talking to for 10 months now. Last year I started talking to them, did a presentation for them then. They blew me off. Right? Timing's everything. They blew me off. Well, I connected with their entire company on LinkedIn, so I've been engaging with them, engaging with their content, and I've been consistently putting content out in which I've actually seen them liking it. They leave a little comment here and there. That's allowing me to stay in front of them and work them through the sales process. So what can you stay consistent with? So important. What medium are you going to use? Leverage the 80-20 rule. Make sure you're putting the right calls to actions. People are lazy by nature, so hold their hand. You're going to have to hold their hand through this sometimes. And then lastly, native is always going to win when it comes to reach. Now, what I mean by native is I have a YouTube channel, for example. I kind of use it to house my content. I haven't figured out YouTube yet. That's probably my next phase, is to like, how do I blow up my YouTube page? By the way, if you're a YouTube expert, get at me. Would love to pick your brain. I could probably work out some sort of partnership. So if I just took, good thing I'm wearing black today. If I just took my links from my YouTube channel and I just share them out into my social media feed, the algorithms on social media buries content that's not native to their platform. LinkedIn, Facebook, well, Instagram's not a case because Instagram all has to be natively uploaded. Twitter, they don't want you to leave their platform. So instead of taking that YouTube link and just putting it into my newsfeed, hitting share, writing snippet, whatever type of content it is, I'm going to extract that video and I'm going to go in and actually upload it directly onto Facebook or directly onto LinkedIn. Just completely natively upload it. I forgot to see here. Slightly illiterate. But I know what I'm talking about. So native content is always going to get more reach. Try to make it a habit, a best practice. Let's take your podcast, for example. Instead of just sharing your podcast link, how can you create a micro piece of content from your podcast, natively upload it, and then link out? That would be where your CTA on that piece of content is to link out to that full podcast episode. That is going to get more eyeballs on it than if I just take that link on its own and just share it into my newsfeed. So that's tying it together. This is the 101 on how to use content on social media that drives sales. If you're watching this after the fact, you're watching this now, really appreciate you. I'm super grateful for your attention. Do me a tiny, small favor. Share out this post. At minimum, like it. Give a comment below. Fill out my calendar if you want to talk, if you need help with this stuff. Always happy to share ideas, share strategies, or if you want to collaborate, if you want to create some content together. It's something I love doing, is collaborating with other marketers, influencers, subject matter experts, and creating something together is a really good way to go about all this. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Make sure you check out the Mile High Mentors podcast as well. I'm going to just throw the whole kitchen sink at you here. Check out the Mile High Mentors podcast. We're the top business and leadership podcast in the state of Colorado. We interview all the top entrepreneurs, influencers, experts in the state, and I'm here to just bring you information, right? Bring you insight and empower you to have success with your business. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the other side. I'm going to wrap this thing up here.